Call to order. This is our 2023-2024 budget, annual budget workshop. We have revisions and everybody's had an opportunity to look at the newest version. So, Michael, do you
Sure, yeah.
get us started on
Good morning. So on Friday, I sent out a draft copy showing some of those reflected changes we had talked about. I want to get that out as quickly as possible so y'all can have as much time to look at it as possible. When I combed through it, I saw a few errors and a few things I wanted to change. I also issued this Word document that's called the Overview of Major Changes, version 7/1923, which accompanied the document on Friday. I issued another document late last night, the 7/24 version, which simply corrects the items I called out that needed correcting on last Friday. So the key highlights, I'll run through this Word document and then just kind of open it up to y'all's questions if you want.
Okay.
We were able to reduce the millage again in this 7/24 version from the 5.9999 to a flat 5.8. For example, there was about an $850 rounding error in revenues from one sheet to another. So in the 7/24 version, that's fixed. Throughout the budget, and we talked about this last time, workers' compensation has been adjusted. It's based off of the annuals and a 10% increase, which should give us plenty of buffer. And we actually saved a little bit of money in that area. And then we fixed memberships and training throughout the budget. In terms of the city council department, we adjusted retirement, the health supplement, travel, and uniforms. There's probably a few $1,000s you can save in there if you'd like, in terms of the retirement side. So we budgeted retirement for council members who have said they want to take it. And then we also budgeted half a year for the 2 seats that are up for election, since we don't know what person may win that seat if they want to retire or not. So we cut it and cross that bridge when we get there in 6 months if you want to, or we can leave it as it is. It's probably an impact of about $3,000, so it's pretty small. In terms of the city administrator department, this is probably the biggest change I made. The administrator's salary was budgeted 100% to the general fund. I reduced that to 70%, and then I tied 15% to water and 15% to sewer. Over these last few weeks doing this job, I've really seen how much time goes to the enterprise funds, and I really felt like it was an unfair burden to the general fund and to our taxpayers to allocate that entire salary to the general fund and not have any of our user fees paying for that salary. So that was a $30,000 savings, $15,000 of course going to water, $15,000 going to sewer. We also added in the $10,000 for relocation, which we could probably pull out. We'll be able to decide that before you guys adopt in September, depending on whether or not you make a hire and you need the relocation before the end of the current fiscal year. So you may be able to save another $10,000 there. We also made some cuts to fuel and lubricants. In terms of the clerk department, we budgeted the cost of living adjustment and the potential performance raise that the council had directed for me to do last meeting. So those funds are set aside if you choose to move forward with those next fiscal year. In development services, we made a few cuts to professional services. One key one that we talked about was we had $40,000 set aside. Originally that was going to be for comp plan updates. After feedback, it sounded like our real goal was land development code changes. So we reduced that from about $40,000 to $20,000. We pretty much established consensus that $40,000 was probably too much for that. So we cut back 50% on that. General government, we increased the auditing and accounting line for the council direction. So those are going to be your funds that you see utilized if you end up hiring an outside firm to help. And I'll skip ahead a little bit. Not all of that goes to that line. Some of it's going to go to water and sewer as well because they'll be helping in the enterprise funds. We had some increases to professional services. We had about $10,000 that we could either totally cut. I added it to the professional services because this council has changed and you're probably going to see another change of some sort in April. So I allocated about $10,000 in there for council strategic visioning and plan. If you guys want to do that, if you don't, let me know. We got 10K there that we can cut conservatively, but I think it's important that the council sit down and have a facilitated discussion on what you guys want to achieve in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and so on. So that money's in there if you want to do it. If not, I'm happy to cut. Other than that, we had some general cuts to printing and binding, promotional, and other current charges. Nothing of real major amount. In the fire department, so the version that we all sat down and reviewed, we had $25,000 for volunteer salaries. In the budget I issued you last Friday, that number went back to $35,000, and that was a mistake. So in the one from this morning, 7/24, that's back to the $25,000. So at first glance, you think $10,000 savings. In reality, I did mean to increase operating by $2,000, and the other $8,000 is a savings. So minor increase from the one that we had reviewed in our presentation. But that's one of the key differences between the two versions you got. In code enforcement, we had minor cuts to other current charges, office supplies, operating supplies, and uniforms. In general maintenance, we had cuts to repairs and maintenance and operating supplies, and I did have a minor increase in terms of fuel and lubricants. In canal, so this is another one where I think it's $2,600 that we were increasing it up. We were increasing it up $4,600 to $7,200. That was in the version you saw. The Friday version reverted back to the old number, so we simply fixed that again. So that's not an increase from what we discussed last time at the table. It was just correcting an item that fell out during reviews. And then we did make a cut and an increase to operating supplies. The document listed it as $6,000 and $3,000, and those were not the right numbers. But there was a cut to repair and maintenance, and there was an increase to operating supplies. So I want to point out that the document was wrong on that one. In terms of vehicle maintenance, we had a very minor increase to repairs and maintenance. I think it was about $500. Parks and Rec. So this is one that we could definitely use direction on. I went ahead and cut $30,000 to improvements other than buildings, and those would be the funds that you would set aside to match the tree grant if you were to get it. So we can place that money in the budget, or you can come back and put it in the budget through a budget amendment mid-year if you win the grant, if you pursue the grant and win the grant. So at the moment it's just out of the budget, but it's a pretty easy one to put back in. So it was an easy way to cut $30,000 in terms of millage for a grant that we don't know if we're going to truly submit for, win, etc. So happy to do either direction on that one. And then the general fund in general, so it was balanced on the Friday version. I think there's about a $5,000 surplus in the 24 version. I figured that we'd be making some changes, so I just left that as a surplus for wherever you want to put it. And then, realistically, we're in a good place on it. I tried to cut as much as I could so we can get the millage rate as low as we could. That's always my goal. Reduce the burden to the taxpayers as much as possible. That puts us at 5.8. There were some things that we had talked about at the end of last meeting that I did not put into this budget, but we have the funding strategy to do it if we want to. So we talked about making the accountant full-time. We talked about relocation for the accountant. We'll cover one more. There's one other that we talked about.
Accounting software. It's the accounting software.
The accounting software, correct. We don't have the accounting software in there either. Accounting software and the accountant full-time position. We can put that in, and we can get it back in, and we can still be under our 5.9999 as needed. That's a big reason why I made those cuts, so that you have the ability to add those in, and we don't have to scramble and find the money later. So whatever the direction is on that one, I'd say let's go ahead and move into the Enterprise, well, I don't know. Do you guys want to have a discussion on general fund, or do you want to move into the enterprise fund specifically? I don't think there's too much in terms of water and sewer to discuss, but I think there is quite a discussion to be had in sanitation. So if you want to adopt general fund first, or
Let's just move through and then we'll
Okay.
go
Come
right
back.
back and
Sure.
discuss them.
Michael, one thing, could you explain to the citizens, we do have the highest mill rate of all the cities in our county.
do.
Can you explain why that is?
in my opinion, is because like we rely heavily on taxes generated from the millage rate, from property taxes. We don't have a lot of diversification in revenue sources. I'll say the scary word, and I'm not proposing it. But other cities rely on like fire assessments to offset fire department costs and various other sources of revenue. Hamilton City Beach relies heavily on taxes from short-term rentals, and that's something that we can maybe look into and maybe add mid-year. But as much as we can diversify our revenue streams in the future is the absolute goal, because then we can reduce our millage consistently. We had talked about stormwater utility fees. And I personally really like those because then it dedicates the funds specifically to that. So you know that your fire assessment fees are going to fire. You know your stormwater utility service fee is going to stormwater. Whereas your property taxes, it's going to go somewhere. You don't just immediately know. You have to do some research, talk to city staff to find out. So I'm a big fan of dedicating source revenue to a specific source.
We also have the smallest population, which gives us the smallest piece of the sales tax pie.
Yeah. All right, so if we move on, in terms of water, revenue, we increased slightly on both water and sewer. The personnel costs for both increased 15% about because of the allocation for the administrator. And then in water, we have a slight surplus. In sewer, we added the accounting and auditing, which decreased our surplus from $28,000 from the last budget version to $11,000. And then the general personnel that we had discussed at the last meeting, I reflected those changes, but really there were no major changes between versions on those. In terms of sanitation, so revenue-wise, we had talked about raising rates 10%, and we felt like that would get us the funds to set aside for saving for a new trash truck. I sat down with Debbie and Michelle and really analyzed our revenues, and I kind of felt like we were already kind of over projecting on revenue. So what I did was I backtracked on that. I looked to see what we're actually generating every single month, and then I anticipated 3% growth, not a whole lot, but we went pretty conservative on that. And then instead of and this is for the 724 version, instead of the 10%, I wrote in, for example, a 20% rate increase. So say you're $3, it would move to $6. And that generates a surplus of $20,000. So you can set aside $20,000 for the truck if you went to a 20% rate increase. We reduce the rate increase, we reduce this amount you set aside. Realistically, $20,000, I mean, our goal is $40,000 to $45,000 to set aside per year for the vehicle. $20,000 helps, it's a step in the right direction. Because, it's playing that balancing between keeping rates as low as possible, but also making sure that we set aside enough funds to buy a new truck on a regular schedule and basis. So we can do however you want. If you want to skip a year entirely, reduce the rate increase. If you want to do the 20, a little bit more than 20, however much you want to set aside for that next vehicle. But that's going to be kind of a policy direction on how you guys want to address that. With that, I'll really just open it up and take any and all questions.
Yeah. We're talking about bringing on a lot of new employees. So we already have a high ratio to employees to the number of people that live in this town. So is there any way we could maybe put that off another year to another budget? That's a lot of salaries. That includes, of course, health insurance, retirement benefits, and all that. That would be a big savings if we could maybe hold off on those. Is it 5 or 6 positions we're talking about? It's quite a few.
Yeah, page 52 addresses it. We have 5 proposed new positions. a full-time slinger or a full year of 2 slingers, which would be on our trash trucks. Those are pretty critical.
Understand that.
We have the half year of the firefighter and half a year of a deputy. In terms of public safety, I'd say those are also pretty critical. And they're only half years in this budget. The one that I think you may have some opportunity if we need to cut from personnel would be the half year of the electrician. Granted, only 20% of that is coming from the general fund, so you're not going to see a significant savings there, but it will help for sure if that's what you want to do. I would also caution, I know a lot of people talk about the number of staff we have to full-time population, but a big thing to me is we can't manage the city for 900 people if 8,000 show up on the weekend or on 4th of July. We know a lot of our houses are not full-time occupied. A lot of people come in on the weekends, a lot of people come in on the holidays. So in terms of like the public safety positions is what I'm alluding to on that. And sanitation pickup, the amount of trash that's being collected every day, it's unbelievable. Tommy can speak to it. We're gonna need to start looking into that as well. We had a past ordinance or a current ordinance?
Yeah, the past ordinance was that we picked up at a residence twice a week, 3 32-gallon garbage cans. That's what's allowed that the city picks up. I told Michael, the guys on the trash truck has been taking pictures, and I've got documentation. When they go to a residence, there may be 5 cans and 15 bags of garbage sitting around those cans. Yeah, we based our sanitation pickup on 3 32-gallon cans. With that said, the trash that we're picking up, the guys are, just like yesterday, they're having to go dump the truck during the middle of the day to finish picking up the trash. The trash pickup is way more than what we're normally picking up. There was an ordinance before 686, I think 634, that if they had more than 3 32-gallon cans, there was a $10 per can additional charge to pick that up. Kind of like when we pick dumpsters up at Dale Governor on the weekend. If it's full, we charge $100 per pickup. Same way at any of the condos. So we need to get that put back in. I don't know how I think it got taken out during Tom Bailey's, when he was the mayor. But we need to get that put back in, because at the rate, as I explained to Michael, that we're picking up now, the city's losing money on trash. We're picking up way more trash now than we were before Michael. And it's basically, as Michael said, it's people coming down renting the different houses. When they go to pick up, instead of 3 cans sitting there, there's 15 bags of garbage and 4 or 5 cans. So we've got to address that, or we're going to continue to lose money with sanitation.
Definitely. We get some of the best service that there is. So I don't want to do anything to harm that. I want to keep trying to increase that level of service. And I bring that back up with Tommy, and we've been talking about it a lot lately. It's going to come before you probably in August on how to address that issue alone. That will also increase revenue. So
we need to put something on the agenda and start looking at that a little closer. We have to realize too, these were really small houses on the west side, and now they're big. And you know, I just visited with a visitor due to a complaint, and they had 12 people in that house.
yeah.
And the house that used to sit there was a 2-bedroom. And now they got, you know, a big enough home that 3 stories that held 12 people.
And
So-
those 12 people don't show up in our true population.
Exactly.
So our population, unfortunately, isn't a great factor. But yeah, we could definitely look into, circling back to the original question, the electrician, I think is one
So
that
I'm
we could-
thinking I can justify the slingers, because I understand that we do have so much more garbage and trash. But what do we have as far as a backup, like a firefighter? If we had a major incident, can we rely on like Gulf County to come and aid us? And then if we have the Bay County Sheriff Department, if we had a big incident, we're paying, you know, good amount of money to have them on staff. Couldn't they call people further additional help that we don't have to have all the time full time?
Sure.
But if we got into a bond, so that would be a big savings if we didn't have.
Yeah.
And then the electrician, I think Glenn mentioned we could possibly get one for $35 an hour, possibly a retired electrician that we could just call in as needed, rather than have this full-time position with, you know, all the benefits that go along with that. That's very costly.
Yeah, I definitely think, like you mentioned, the electrician is one that we could look at cutting. in terms of like the sheriff's office, when we do have major incidents, they do deploy a lot of assets over. The risk, I would say, is it takes some time to get here. When we're talking about minutes, and then Sandy, Gulf County exclusively
Gulf County
volunteers?
Beaches is an all-volunteer department. For them to leave work in the middle of the day, make their way to the fire station to pick up their apparatus to then come here, can be a 25+ minute response time.
And how about coming from Bay County or Panama City?
That's
another thing.
again, we do have Tyndall Air Force Base. We have to ask for them. They have to go up the chain to command to ask permission to leave the base to come out to us. It does take time, but they are in theory a little bit. They're probably closer in regards to time than St. Joe Beaches would be. But what we're doing here is we're trying to build so that by the time we get our next ISO rating, we have the manpower in place to lower that ISO rating to the 3 that we need to be to make a significant. We made a significant difference 6 and 4 in people's insurance. I had a whole bunch of people from Miramar Drive in that complex there, all asking me for letters because they got rebates once their insurance company found out they went down to a 4. So we've already made significant inroads, but the big jump from 3 to 4, or from 4 to 3, is quite significant for a lot of insurance. Not everybody, but for a lot of insurance holders. And then obviously with the big increase of Sugar Sands, that we get the money from the county. I mean, they are literally, the last number of years they were empty. They are now going to have 50+ 3- and 4-story buildings over there. The money we will get from them, from the county alone, will pay for this firefighter. The money that we're going to get from the new 9 buildings at the crossings at 1.38 mil, which is what the county would charge you. Again, the money from there will pay for another firefighter. So we're growing the department as the city grows. We're not asking for anything extra over and above what we have before, percentage-wise. Last year we had a fairly in-depth conversation regarding the whole how we fund the fire department. And we talked about the 1.38 mil that the county charges their people. It was a number that was put around during the time of we talked around the assessment. And this year, you take the value of the properties and multiply that by the 1.38 mil, and in fact we're asking for less money than the 1.38 mil. So we're trying to still run the fire department for less than what we kind of came to a consensus on last year as to what it would be. As the city grows, we grow the fire department so that we can lower our ISO and we have what we need in place so that we can respond, in a timely manner with the manpower required. That's what we've been working towards. That's why we did something in October of last year. Then it's 18 months to the person in April of next year. Then there'll be 18 months until we have that one extra person to make it 3 on each shift. Because right now, and at that point, then the part-timers basically go away. Because it's getting more and more difficult to get people here. We haven't increased the part-time salary since before the storm. We haven't asked to do it again this time. But it is getting more and more difficult to get part-timers in to fill those slots when some of my firefighters go on vacation and so on and so forth. So that's the thought process behind the whole thing.
So how many officers do we have right now, deputies?
I believe we have 7.
7?
We're going to 7 to 8.
7 to 8, and that's how are we? Like it's 2-week shift or
I believe that's the
standard running. And we've increased, it seems like, each year since we've taken them in or asked them to come in, which was a good call. But so how many more years do you think we're going to need to continue to add? I mean, where are we at with?
I think in general,
Near $1 million.
whether it's public safety or any department, I think we're very, very close to starting to level off. Growth has been exponential.
Yeah.
Like you guys have pointed out, the replacement of 2-bedroom houses to 3-story units the initial boom has kind of happened. Now it's just more normal growth. There'll be obviously still infill rebuilds, but kind of the explosive increases starting to level off, I think.
I know there's some other municipalities that actually contract with police, the sheriff's department as well. And I know that they're not probably as small as we are. But do we know how many officers they maintain?
We can look into it, yeah.
Yeah, that might be something we want to consider. So as we grow, we may have to, as we're moving out west, we may have to have more officers, and we just need to plan for that in the future as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Are you talking about with the sheriff department? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
I
did
didn't know
that.
you contracted out, I said,
Yeah,
okay, with the sheriff.
correct.
And that unit cost also includes like the equipment and all that kind of stuff as well, not just the officer.
It's because of the St. Joe Company property. When we get to 944,000, but right now I think we just have 400, and I think the other deputy would, to be, there you come, right there if you want to do anything.
Yeah, I think we just need to be planning for the future too, as
think you
we do
just
have
add-
those coming on.
For half this time, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
my department the same way. I'm sorry. Can we chime in?
Yeah, it's your turn actually.
Oh, my turn?
I think
Oh,
Linda
you
was
through
done.
that?
I'm done.
Okay.
That was my take on the firemen and the sheriff department to have me. On the sanitation department, my friend over here, the three people he wants to hire, is that how many you want to hire, Tom? Two.
And the two we're hiring is basically what the future holds is to put the third truck
Third
on the
truck.
road. Right.
Do you know when or when do we expect to start running? What I was trying to say is save a half a year's worth of money on the other garbage truck on salaries just for half a year. That would be a little savings when the crossings comes up, and would that save us?
Right, well, I just got a work order Friday to add 2 more dumpsters to the crossings. They've opened another building up. Each time they open a building up, we set 2 more dumpsters. So what I'm looking to do is to take one truck and strictly do anything but dumpsters. All the main garbage cans for the beach, the garbage dumpsters at all the different condos and L governors and such, and let 2 trucks just run the routes. Right now with the trash like it is, the extra trash, I'm burning my guys out. They're yesterday, Monday's always the heaviest day. They were near about 4 o'clock before they got out of here. Normally they're through by 2. Now, with that said, we probably won't have to run that third truck during the winter months. This is just strictly summer. Once summer gets here and the visitors are down, then we need that extra during the winter months and no. But now, with that said, that's not that those other 2 positions, if we get them, are going to be sitting idle. There's still plenty of trash to pick up. There's still plenty of other things, as Michael suggested in the first part. We utilize them, for different things anyway. So they won't be sitting idle, but the main time is the summer months. So if the question you're asking, we could.
I'm trying to cut that salary, the 2 men you want, in half to lower the rate.
So if we do half a year?
Yeah, maybe.
Half a year instead of a full
2/3.
year, like we do in the sheriff department and fire.
Yeah.
Let's do a half.
We can look at
That's
that,
what
yeah.
I say.
Sure.
Because I don't think we need, if we cut now, I'm trying to get it down a little lower than what everybody else is.
Yeah, we can run the numbers on like what a half year or 2/3 of a year would look like, and set aside money for the truck, and then also reduce the rate maybe 5% or so.
It cuts 13,000 from the general fund.
Our boom is between now and Labor Day, so, and then it's gonna get, so if we can just get a half of like for them 2 men, the salary, that would help.
Yeah.
And another thing is the trucks. I know we got a deteriorating fleet of trucks, but how many new trucks are we trying to buy?
I believe it's 3 general fund pickup truck, a sewer pickup truck, and that one's kind of on my potential cut list, And then the boom crane impact fee funded truck as
That's
well.
5,
Three trucks.
3 trucks. Take 30-something thousand a clip, 30, whatever Tammy said.
We budgeted 50, but yeah.
But you put in 50, but that's
To
what they
equip
call it,
it.
30-something thousand. We just bought 3. I'm saying to trim it down. I'd like to find out if we could share the love here. But there's a little bit, but and maybe just get, the boom truck is something that we need, it's something we don't use every time. It's like the bucket truck out back here. When we need it, but we can get by without the boom truck with a backhoe or excavator. That's what they've been doing. I'm not saying we don't need it, but that's something that'll sit there most of the time. I think we're trying to cut it, but.
Well, that one's not gonna save you because it's
Yeah,
impact
it's
fee
impact
funded.
fees.
Impact.
Yep, that's on
Yeah.
the boom truck too. I mean, the vacuum truck
The vacuum and the boom.
and the boom.
Yeah, there's 5 if you count like the vacuum truck and the fire truck. And then you're up to 5, yeah.
There's only one on general fund, that's it, 50,000.
That's
The rest of them are in.
The 50,000.
Mhm. The rest for enterprise or impact.
Do you think that we could possibly cut that one truck and plan for the future? So
Sure,
if
we
we
can make it
get
happen.
when we get our city administrator, that new truck that we currently have being used as transportation city administrator will not be needed. We could do a small fee like some cities do to give them just a little, no, I think where Mr. Baber went, they do him $350 a month and he drives his own vehicle, that kind of thing. But we could put that one back into service. And also is currently the second, I noticed sitting out here, the second SUV that Doug was driving first, is that being used?
Yeah, it's currently utilized as a pool vehicle for office staff.
Goes to the post office.
Okay. Okay.
And
So,
that's used it sometimes, but it needs to be, if we could use these vehicles, we could more than, but that is an SUV, isn't it? Like Tommy and them, they use them trucks.
well, you know, we currently have a truck being used as a city administrator truck. It needs to probably go back into service for our city use to help the residents. That could, possibly we could cut that new vehicle out this year and use the new vehicle we just got. And I think that was in your department, that we were getting a new,
Yes.
yeah, so that would,
Oh, you did cut Mr. Glenn's out too, didn't you? He said.
The
Three
Pickup
quarters.
truck?
Yeah, two,
It's-
you just got one for Tommy. That's what we got it for, one new truck.
in the security budget,
Yeah.
we can cut the general fund one. I think there's definitely consensus on that. And then, yeah, we can cut the impact fee one as well if you want.
Jared, what we were trying to do, was we got those trucks last year, we were trying to, and we understand the burden that it puts on the taxpayers, but we still got probably 6 or 8 trucks that we do need to take out of service. So we figured maybe 1 truck a year rather than trying to hit the council with 2 or 3 trucks again this year, 2 or 3 trucks next year. Just doing 1 truck a year and, until we can get rid of the other ones that needs to be taken out. That way it wouldn't be such a burden.
You,
However y'all, whatever y'all.
bringing the current one we have into service, would that would be one for this coming year, and then we could,
Right, we would take,
Next year.
what we would do, would take the
We got Tommy
the worst truck that we have now and auction it off, sell it, whatever we need to do, just take it out of service.
it's probably the best truck we got, those from it, but Tommy's truck that he, I cheered this morning, his truck that he used to have is, I don't know who's using it now.
Troy and Nick took it for, canal.
They got 3/4 tons, the one's got the tools on it.
Yeah, they
They got
try not to
Tommy.
drive the big one, it's got the compressor and all, it's not really made to take on the beach, they try to keep it off the beach. They use it for, if somebody breaks down one of the trucks, won't crank, that's the truck that they service around town with.
you get some.
Can I, a different subject, Can I suggest that maybe we have an open conversation at this table? I mean, start talking, rather than going around the table?
I just want to make sure everybody got their input on the thing, and then we discuss
Right,
all
no,
of it.
I agree. The only thing is we started with a millage rate of 6%. And 5.999, I agree. And then we had a list of items we wanted to add. I think we ought to maybe stick to the millage rate, get that nailed down, and then start doing what we need to do. I mean, this just tells us where we can go. But if we don't start answering questions like the other items, be it, are we gonna get financial software, are we gonna add a full-time accountant, are we gonna do those things? If we could eliminate those things, nail down the budget, then we can start reducing where we need to. But I also think that we need to have an open conversation at this table and use common courtesy as adults to speak,
Correct.
rather than round table.
Okay.
I'm in. I'm sorry.
So, well, like I said, I just want to make sure everybody got their big items in, and then we'll discuss all the items that have come forward.
Is that what I thought them was what you just said, the three main things, I thought they not the software, I thought they was out already. Is that what, they're not in this budget,
I
right?
don't know. I mean, last meeting I was here, people wanted it and people didn't want it. I don't know. But
Mickey, they not in the
So-
if
budget.
we're gonna eliminate, and let's get on with this number here.
I think if we stuck with like if you go up to 5.9, I mean, I don't know if there's somewhere else we could cut it. We could stay at 5.8, then we could continue having those three items that we were looking at. One meal would bring it up to like
64,000.
Like 64,000, yeah. Bring it up $64,000. But if we're cutting somewhere else, the $30,000, then maybe we can bring it up, don't even have to bring it up a full meal, and still be able to get the,
Full mill's more than 64.
It's a tenth of a mil.
Tenth of a
I
mil.
meant a tenth of a meal, excuse me.
I was in the more line of 575. Me, that's why I was telling about, I'm trying to, I mean, that wasn't in my software and the other things, that wasn't in my, I don't think. Is it?
But if you're at 5 3/4, you're eliminating all this stuff right away.
Yes.
I think it's important for us to look at having either a full-time accountant in-house or having a firm. I think that's accounting firm. I think that is vital to our city and our finances, and I think that accounting software, as far as that goes, and Michael agrees with me, and Ms. Lucas agrees with me as well. We meet every Monday. That the software we currently have is very outdated, and it does not provide like many of the newer companies do. You can look at Miramar Beach, for instance, they have, and you can go in there and you can click on it, and a spreadsheet comes up similar to this, tells where they're at for every, at that point when you click on it. So it's real time. So that's really something the citizens could, or taxpayers could go in and look and see where we're at in our budget at any time, given time. And like I said, I've checked into this. I'm sure there's more than one company. I've just checked at one, just kind of fill it out to see what kind of money you're talking about. And it's right at, depending on how many people are on the software. How many users. Up to 10 was like 16.5 flat rate a year. And then another one, if it went up to 25 users, I think it was like 31,000 a year. And I don't know how many users we have, because I haven't asked Michael.
I would think up to 10 would work.
I think up to 10, I mean, 16.5 is about what we're paying now, I think. Or I know I seen a bill for like $15,000, a little over $15,000. So I don't think, I mean, we'll have some transitioning fees because we'll have to get the historic data transferred in. That'll take some time, and whatever the setup is for the different modules we need. I know those would be.
I personally am not totally against that, but I'm not totally for it this year, as I don't think that we have the money to do that. It's just, unless we keep our millage rate where it is. I mean, add in the numbers, I mean, that's all, it all comes down to the numbers, guys, and we're at 5.8, so you add another 100,000, 150 for software, you add another 100 for an accountant, you're
Back up that.
For me, I'm way more willing to pay to bring a finance person in-house and train that one person on the software we have than to get everybody trained on new software and not get that person in-house. That is less of a priority for me. That's it.
You said, excuse me, you say that again.
I said I'm more in favor of bringing the finance person in-house
In-house.
than buying software.
Okay, I agree with that. I do.
And then also, back on the topic we were on earlier, the electrician. Page 28 has 40% general fund, but page 52 has 20. So is it 20 or 40?
What page numbers?
28, 52.
52 is your new man.
And the only reason I'm looking at that is because that's what hits the general fund. I mean, it's $8,000 in the grand scheme of things, but.
did he move around?
Well, I'm guessing one of them has changed and the other one should have been, I just don't know which one's right.
He probably moved it around.
Page 28 says 40%, and page 52 says 20%.
$52 should be right.
52 is right? Okay. There, I saved you 8,400.
Good, they can go to our software.
Not what I wanted to ask you, so, then consensus as to whether or not we were gonna take both came out of the budget. Actually, I didn't understand that.
At the moment, it sounds like the boom crane is staying in the budget, and the back truck is in the budget. We don't have the council's direction yet to take it out. I know Mr. Smith mentioned cutting it, but I don't know if there's consensus.
The vacuum truck keep, because you said that
Yeah.
impact, but the
The
boom. you're
is
kind of-
also, we're using impact as well.
Impact.
Yeah.
The only one that's not impact is the extra truck. Pickup
Yeah,
truck.
general fund truck, and it sounds like there is consensus to cut that. So,
I would
We'll
agree,
make it happen.
cutting the 50,000 off the new truck, off the
Yeah.
general fund.
Me too. I mean, we got to cut, I mean, for me, for the citizens, we need to get this rate as low as we can. I mean, I know I'm not saying they don't need it, but I think that they can get by at least another year. For me, that'd work.
Sure.
How big is the county increase? Do we know? 'Cause I heard it's not good.
Yeah, it's, I don't have the current number.
They said 1.5.
Point and a half?
That's, I heard 1.5 the last time I
Yeah.
read it. Yeah, it was a big number.
I got a question, Michael, on our interest as revenue. Where do we have this money? Is that in CDs, or is that how we're, and
I believe they're all CDs.
do you know what that amount is that we're earning this interest off of?
It's up there.
There's 4 million.
Maybe almost $8 million.
Yeah, that was something that the last council and Doug and Debbie had done, invested a lot of money. I believe it was into CDs. It's kind of before my time. I'd have to brush up. But it's earning quite a bit. But I can check it out.
It just seems like an excessive amount that it's earning versus, unless there's an excessive amount of money there.
Well, dude, it was a large sum of money that was invested.
$8 million or something.
I don't know, I heard, I thought it was at 4, and I think it was at 5%.
Yeah, I'll check.
But, I mean,
Let's
yeah, we
check
need the
that.
actual.
We need to know actually.
Not everybody hates talking about cars, but, or trucks or whatever. But, we did buy 3 trucks. these trucks are all being utilized, the guys going home back and forth. Is there any thought process of taking those 3 trucks, putting them in the fleet, and then maybe issuing a later truck to drive back and forth to work?
I'm just talking about from that room.
Yeah, Tommy in the fire chief.
Yeah, I guess my truck would be the only new truck, and I was gonna keep the truck that I was driving. But the discussion was that the normal procedure, including Troy said the same thing, that when you purchase a new truck, it went to the top and then it worked its way into, rather than put a brand new truck in the field and then beat it all up. So that's the only reason I'm in the new truck now. I would have kept driving the Ford that I was in.
That's exactly what we were told.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's accurate.
Yeah, you take one of the brand new trucks and put it out in the field, they gonna put weed eaters, mowers in the back of them, they gonna beat them all up, and I guess it's just to try to get the truck, gradually put it out there where it's not like my old truck was a good truck, not any issues with it, but it's not brand new, so you're not introducing a $50,000 truck out in the field for them to beat it all up. That was the way I was told.
Well, I would hope that they would not do that, and that, they drive a new truck.
So if we got a new truck, then what would we do with that one? It would put it in the field, correct?
Well, it would, but it would have some miles on it, and it would be technically brand spanking new. I guess that's the idea behind it.
We'll keep filtering any new vehicle and replace or take poor conditions out. Fares will slowly turn into poors. The excellence will turn into goods. We'll cycle through that consistently. Yeah.
I think, if you look at these trucks, there's 2005s in there, there's 2007s, 10s, 15s. I think we could very easily take a new truck, put these 3 trucks in the field to utilize them, and get rid of the latest one, like a 1998.
Now, what's the dump
Dump
truck?
truck, yeah.
Now, you really
Yeah,
have
dump
to get rid of it, we just
Oh,
got it.
that one, that's right, that's a dump truck.
Yeah, we can reallocate the one for the administrator and Tommy, and we can put them out in the field. And
I don't know, what's the table, what's the thought process of the table?
Well, I've always thought we didn't need to have the trucks going home. The only person that should be taking their vehicle home is the emergency management team, which is,
And the on-call water and sewer.
on-call water and sewer, they take theirs home.
Yeah,
That
that's
would
a,
make sense.
yeah,
On-call.
and that's a whole new subject other than what I was bringing up, but
Okay.
that'd probably have to discuss, but.
So if you put his in the field, you're taking it off the road to be taken
Yeah, so he
home.
drives a 2013 home versus a brand new truck. And the city's using the truck in the city. That's my opinion.
put it on the agenda. Sure.
You're putting 3 new trucks into the field.
So Rich, you're talking about putting 3 in the field and selling 3 of the poor ones? Is that what you're thinking?
I'm thinking putting the 3 in the field, they're brand new trucks in the field. Let these guys take an older truck home, back and forth. I'm not saying stop that. I'm saying just take an older vehicle home. And yes, I would look at some of our older trucks and just start selling them off or getting rid of them and get ready to buy a new one.
Mr. Wolf, I have no problem taking the truck I've been driving home.
Right. Yeah, I'm not making it an argument, I'm making it a statement.
Right.
If I was managing that department,
I can totally understand taking the older trucks and putting them in the field. And the newer trucks, but necessarily not taking them home unless it's a necessity, like on-call people, which would be.
but bottom line is that's the
Yeah.
system, that's what we've set up, so that's what we're working with. So if you think of a brand new truck going back and forth to somebody's home, and we just bought 3 new trucks and they never see any action, how do we justify it?
If I might, though, those trucks see action all day long. Tommy's on the beach. Tommy's off-road. I'd use the administrator one off-road to respond to sewer breaks, to look at storm. They're not sitting in the parking lot.
Right, I got that.
And And I'll
Just
say
a
this on the
suggestion.
record, not defending taking the truck home, but the Public Works Director is on call 24/7, 7 days a week. I responded anytime, so that was the reason they've always gave the Public Works Director, as far as I know, back Troy to the truck that's out there on. So, but that's your call, whatever y'all decide to do.
One of the thoughts that was brought into this, and I learned early on, the on-call guy in utilities took the truck home. Because if he had an emergency call, instead of having to drive his personal vehicle all the way out here and punch in, he could go straight to the emergency side. That was the thinking behind that.
Which makes sense. But I do still, at this point, even though there's 3 new trucks and they're to the department heads, I think that we could pull at least the city administrative truck back into service for the citizens.
Sure, I mean, it's in service, but yeah, we can do that, for sure. We can deploy it to, just general maintenance, yeah.
They save us from buying another one this year, and then we can move forward for next year, get another one each year.
We are getting 2 trucks technically, the boom truck and the back truck, so technically, even though we don't drive them home, but
And if you're asking, can we make do with what we have, we can. We've done that for a while now.
thank you. That'd help.
But you'd still get a truck.
Yeah.
You'd still get a new truck this year by bringing in the one that we bought
Right.
this past.
Sure.
That 175 on there, is that the boom truck and the boom, or is that just the boom?
That's the package.
It's the
Truck.
truck that has the boom on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some truck.
Then we're adding another 250.
Yeah, we have a proposed 250 on there through Impact Fees, but we'll cut it, whatever. I'm happy on everyone.
On the boom truck,
No, so the boom and truck is 175. Then there's a truck for 75. You can cut that one too.
Another truck for 50.
If you cut
but
the
then they come
electrician,
together, because they come with a body on them. and
yeah, that's all inclusive in the 175.
It's made for the boom to keep them turning over. And you can't, that's really sort of, unless you're a farmer, you would do to get by, but if you, that truck with the boom needs to come with the truck. And I don't know if you're gonna get it for what'd you say? You got a bid for 175?
Right now we have one around 150, so I definitely think we can get it for 175.
And that's Impact Fees.
And we've got plenty of impact fees that we need.
What's that whole nother subject?
Hey, what?
That's a whole nother subject. Impact is.
It ain't like we got to spend them now, we can spend them on something we need.
Using the boom truck to replace what we're doing. A lot of problem stations we can't access with a tractor and the bucket over it, hanging chain on the teeth. A boom truck will eliminate that. Not only is that a better way to do it, there's a safety issue. When you hook a chain pole on a tractor, you've got an operator in there. If he turns the wrong lever, he can turn the equipment, everything loose, potentially on top of him. Just something to think about.
I want to go to the developmental services, professional services. That is page 20. So it looks like before, and you may have explained this, Michael, and I just reason through it. It looks like before the professional services is 141, it's 122 now. What are we cutting in, you know, which last year it says 15,000, so it's a big difference.
Sure. So there's a lot going on in that line in terms of like the outsourced work to the planning collaborative comes from that line. That's what we've historically used that line for. In terms of those capital projects we covered in the past for like that community master plan, most of which is grant funded, the land development code improvements, all of that is packaged into professional services, because that's just what it is.
So how much of that is actually general fund dollars and how much is grant money? I mean, that might be easier to back it up that way. What's the transfer in that offsets that?
And I know I know we hadn't spent that much on these professional services, especially for the planning collaborative. And I know there's other things we want to do as far as planning goes in the future, to really plan for our future.
Sure. So we have north of $62,000 that's grant funded, and then we have about 10 or 15,000 in there. That was a pure contingency general fund as well, and we don't necessarily plan to utilize.
So it's about 45,000 is affecting general fund.
Yeah, that sounds right.
The rest is if it happens, as in if the grant happens.
And if we need it, because it's a 0% match, so we don't have to use it. It's just purely if you want all the bells and whistles for the master plan, that money's been set aside for that. Pure contingency.
So it's a contingency, it can be reduced.
We can, yeah. We have,
Yeah,
Can be reduced.
yeah, we could reduce
Yeah.
that.
and you always, if you need it, you always address it next fiscal year, sure. I mean, we can take out 15 that way.
15 is the number?
I got it. Yeah.
So we have the professional services on page 20, and then we have them on page 22 under the general. So is that coming off of?
Page 22.
So 22, what's the question?
Okay, so on page 20, we got professional services. For the development service, and then under general, we got professional services, 29,000, and it looks like it's 50%, I think. I'm not sure what it is.
The professional services proposed on page 22, what is that?
Yeah. what is that?
I believe the increase, yeah, it relates to the accounting firm. It's in general government is where it was put.
Now, is that the current accountant's position, or is that something?
No, that's that additional,
It's adding the monthly accounting.
yeah.
Okay. Not the one that we took off on the full-time accountant position?
It was in relation to doing like an RFP for a part-time, essentially, accounting firm to help out.
Okay.
That's in there.
Okay. Gotcha. One more place, 27, professional services there is $1,000. Is that our special master? It was 2,500, we reduced it to 1,000.
Yeah, I believe that's where special master comes out of, and that's based off of the actuals and anticipated increase. So, yeah. At this point, I think 1,000 would cover us for next fiscal year, but we can increase it back to 2,500 if you want.
So we basically hadn't had to use them very much. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I think we'll be fine with 1,000.
Okay.
If you want to build in the buffer, yeah.
Do you know how many code enforcement services he's had to provide?
No, I don't have those metrics. I can get it.
That's really low for an attorney's fees, I think. I don't know what he's charging, but. We can always pull it if we need to, I guess, somewhere else.
Michael, on page 29, general maintenance. Is that increase in salary showing the 2 new slingers, is that what that is?
And an electrician.
Yeah, that's the bulk of it.
And mid-year electrician, and then the overtime is increased by $376, about $8,000? Why would they jump up like that?
Yeah, that was the one that I had increased overtime to just a flat 10,000. My thought process is these are the kind of people that you're going to have deployed on special events. It's really just a pure buffer.
Do you know what the year-to-date is on that?
On that specific overtime,
I think that'd be worth looking at.
Sure.
And see if your bump that you needed is needed.
yeah.
Yeah, because in 22 it was only $1,000. In 21, the actuals, only 4,800. And page 37, regarding the improvements, 30,000. I think on the previous one it was 60. And then it looks like previous this year was 4,000. So
You just moved that line item, right?
what is that?
So that is the reduction from 60 to 30 is the cut of the match for the trees in that grant,
Okay.
and then the other 30 is the match for I believe the kayak launch, or yeah, which is impact fee funded.
Okay.
What do you mean on page 33? Canal salaries,
30, what's it?
33 canal salaries right at the top. We're at 108, we're at 95, it's about a 14% increase. Salaries bumped by 4% or $1, so why would it be 14%?
Did you change your distribution?
Yeah, it has to be based off of distributions, but I'll check specifically on that one.
What is that, to what?
So for example, like if the last,
Another department.
yeah, if last year, like the admin assistant's 50%.
So you're
last
taking a
year's 0.
percentage of an employee.
I'd want to confirm it, but yeah.
Right.
Might have changed one from 10% to 20 here.
Right. Yeah, the same thing on vehicle maintenance on page 35. The same thing, parks recreation 37, so she check them all.
Yeah.
There's a good double check you can do where you we add all the salary columns together.
Yeah.
And all the wages and see if it washes out, and that way you know that it's just distributed. I have not done that.
Can do it right now.
Good.
It's a challenge.
On the same one right there on the, in the vehicle maintenance, we got, machinery and equipment, what's the 10,000 go to? Is that for a new truck or,
What page you're?
35, same as you was on? I didn't know what you had that on, you know, how you can move them around.
That's the refurbishing of the gas pumps. That's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
It is also, 5,000 of it is the skid steer attachment.
Okay. Well, that's, we voted for that, that's what we need to do. And we put that in vehicle maintenance.
Yeah, I imagine that we'll probably get like a brush, one of those, is the brush attachment the one that we're purchasing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on now, machinery and equipment you budgeted 10, but the pumps you have 10 on that sheet and 5,000 for skid steer, so it should be 15, not 10. If it includes that one in that line item.
Here.
Yeah. No, it's right. Skid steer's under road and streets.
That's what I.
It's not under vehicle maintenance, it's
Oh.
under road and streets. It's right, 10,000 is the gas pump.
Oh, yeah, it's ruined.
What is that, the outside? Okay.
Just in a different fund.
So I want to go back to our list of things that we've deleted and see what we can bring back. And I know that some people it's not important to them, but we do have to think about the future. And I really think we need to think about this new software. We're not going to get it in 1 year anyway. We need to think about putting money back and thinking about, like we talked about last time, a little this year, a little next year, maybe we can get some new software in here. Software does get old, and though they try to improve it, sometimes those improvements don't come through very user-friendly. And I know this is old, this was back in 2004, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So it has evolved, but it has not evolved to being as user-friendly as some of the other accounting software that's out there. And I think that is important for our staff to have something that's user-friendly, easy to do their job with.
Which one we're going to see who's for that or who's not for it, or, I mean,
Well, I could probably guess, but sure, why not?
No, Miss McCoy, I'm not saying that. It's just, I mean, that'll get it off the list that we talked about, and either add it or take it off, and that's what we need to be doing.
That's what we need to decide.
That's what we need to do.
I think with the city with the people who we have having to work in this software, I don't think anybody is loving it.
Yeah,
Mary says she's
there's-
self-taught.
there's definitely opportunity to improve, but just like the trucks, we'll make it work, so.
Have we spent any time with Springbrook or our own employees to get their input? Either one?
Well,
The
he's
consensus
in there.
I've heard is that we can make it work. There's
Well,
always
it's-
been.
It's working now.
There's-
It's
It's
working.
working
Yeah, it is
currently.
working.
I mean, we get reports if we want them. Now, me going in there and running a report, that's a whole nother world. But I'm not trained in the program.
Yeah, there's definitely better options out there, but we can make it work if the council doesn't want to fund it.
Well, I personally think we need to check with the staff and see what their input is, and also check with Springbrook. It's fair to go to Springbrook and tell them, have an issue, and what can they do about it if there's anything that they can do. At a maximum, I would say we put some money in here for maybe next year or something like that, but I don't think that we buy anything this year.
Well, I think we were talking at the last one, funding 20, trying to fund 25,000 this year, 25,000 next year, and maybe being able to, at the end of this year, as we're moving into the next, we could probably start that process, because it is a process. It's not gonna something that's gonna take overnight. Because there's a lot of built-ins that go into it.
On my thought would be to, what Adrian said, that I'd rather take the 25,000 and have a in-house for me. Instead of new software, what we got working, just like Tommy just said, what he's got, he can get by. So I think if we're trying to cut a millage, I think we need to cut the budget, whatever we're cutting. I think that's one thing that we could do without till next year. And I'm really not against putting something in there, but I'd rather take that money and put it somewhere where we need it.
And if you haven't looked at this or worked in it like Michael has, and Ms. Lucas has, then you probably don't see the value to it. But there is also the value that I look for, transparency and accountability, is that it does have value for the citizens, for the taxpayers to be able to see this. So, but this is a council decision, and we can probably have some workshops on it in the future. Get citizens input. So.
It seemed like at the last meeting, I think the three of y'all have attempted to access it, the Springbrook, and last time you said it was antiquated and it was difficult to, so why wouldn't we want to change that? Thank
Well,
you.
do we want to change it for our staff, or do we want to change it for us? That's my point.
Well, like we said,
I'm
get
saying if
everyone's
we want to
input on
change
it.
Right, if we want to change it for the staff, we should have sat down with the staff and found out where they sit and if we need to move it. And I also think it's fair to Springbrook. I mean, they're supported us all these years, to sit down with them and ask them, is there something that they could do to make us more comfortable with the program? If we haven't done those steps, I guess that's the only
Yep.
holdup I have.
Yeah,
It is,
and-
it is, I agree with you, I said that. I
Yep.
mean, I went in the system, it's not easy, but
Yeah.
I'm not trained in it.
Yeah.
If we, well, this too, we have to realize that Ms. Lucas has been trained, and that should have been a quicker transition. But we've been paying $75 an hour for the past month for Debbie to help her transition, and, you know, she too thinks the software is pretty, not user-friendly.
I'm just saying, we've done our due diligence.
And if we look now to go on and start moving forward to that in the future, I mean, everything like the trucks, everything sometimes needs to be updated, and this is very old software. So,
I'd rather train an in-house finance person how to use what we have than train everybody we have on staff how to use something new.
so stay with the old.
Yeah, for me, but I'd check our version and make sure we're on the most recent version, because there's a version upgrade that comes out twice a year.
And that's communication with Springbrook, I think. That's a good start.
How about it, Tammy?
But if we're not gonna bring the accountant in-house, that argument's toast as well.
You use it. I think we could do this.
I do use it, but I am only on the employee maintenance side of it. So it was self-taught because I was, I didn't have much training on it, but Debbie and Mary helped me tremendously. So I'm just on the employee maintenance side of it, pretty much.
You're mainly the payroll module.
What are you hearing from the inner office people that Springbrook is a problem? Is that what you're hearing from the inner office?
I don't hear that it's a problem, and I don't hear that it's a problem. I hear sometimes that employees that have been there are used to it, and they are accustomed to it, and they know how to get around it.
Maybe we should get Springbrook to come train.
It's expensive.
Oh.
I've just had tried, yeah, signed the check or two.
But if we buy a new, we still have to get it. So that's to train on it too. And if that's expensive for Springbrook, it's gonna be expensive for,
Yeah.
that's what I think. Anyway.
You
I'm
know,
not saying
it's
that.
like the old saying, just because we've always done it that way, is that the best way to do it? So I think we just need to look at the future and see if there's something better that we can do with newer equipment. All right. So what do y'all think about the full-time in-house? And is that it full-time in-house and an accountant firm as well? Or do we just want an accountant firm?
I agree to the full-time accountant, but I don't agree to the having an accountant firm on a regular basis. I mean, that could be an as-needed kind of a thing, but I don't see why we need both.
One part-time or on-call.
Yeah.
Maybe an on-call.
I know some cities have used accounting firms to come in on a regular basis, like once a week, to help with reconciliation and stuff like that. And other cities have told me that too.
I liked having both because it got rid of the internal control finding, and months ago that seemed to be a big deal. So
Still a big deal.
that helps.
It does.
A full-time accountant, does that mean we don't have the accountant we have currently?
That are higher in full-time.
We'd take her as an employee.
Right, well, that would be ideal, but if it wasn't, she'd be gone and we're getting a new accountant. That's, we have one accountant.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it would be one accountant. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you're saying.
I'm all for that.
Are we in the, is that it, we in the budget for that?
It's not.
So we have the firm in the budget, we don't have the position, we don't have the software, and those are the three decisions I need from you guys on what you want in the budget.
Based on what Linda said, do it as a part-time thing, as needed. I agree with that.
The firm is in the budget.
The firm
Part-
The firm's in the budget,
In the budget, but the
Do you
part-time.
take that money out though?
the amount I put in there is probably
The
part-time.
part-time-
Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was
the
like
part-time
twice a month.
person is in
It's
the
like
budget.
Oh, the part-time, okay.
Yeah, we don't have a full, bringing that person or a person in full-time instead in there yet.
We have a part-time accountant in there right now. Okay. Our accounting firm, not a part-time accountant.
So it's in the budget to have a full-time accountant and a part-time?
No. The existing arrangement with Ms. Lucas is in the budget, and the part-time firm is in the budget. That's all.
So we need to fund the difference between Ms. Lucas's current contract and making her full-time in-house. What is that difference?
I don't know off the top. It'd probably be with the benefits. I mean, I assume you'd start her at about $70,000, so it's an increase of about $20,000 in salary and then benefits on top of that.
What was the part-time pay? What
I
you
believe
put?
we're paying like $52,200.
That's her contract.
Yeah.
So 20 plus retirement and it's 70.
But did you say we had a part-time in the budget?
We have a part-time accounting firm.
How much was it?
I believe we put 25,000 in
Total?
total. Not all of it's in the general fund.
Well, you could even take half of that and wait 6 months and put our accountant and bring the fund in 6 months later. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you could do.
You could also do a half year of
Right.
Ms. Lucas if you want to give her like a 6-month probationary period. If you like her, you hire her full-time, mid-year. There's a lot of routes you can go.
I like that route, 6-month route, and then see.
You're looking at about a $45,000 budget hit by moving that in-house.
Additional. We just got that out of one truck.
Yeah.
And the computer software, how much was it? It's not in it.
The software's not in the budget. I don't.
We had talked about doing it over a 2-year period, doing 25,000 this year and 25 next year, and that should cover us for getting it completely on board in the next 2 years. It's like buying a new truck. but it's gonna benefit a lot of people.
I mean, here we go again with this again. I mean, is that on, off? I'm for it being off the budget like it was, so.
Well, I'm gonna stand firm, I'd like to be on.
I think that's what we need to do.
For the citizens
Let's just move on, or let's.
and for our staff. Yep.
Oh, I don't know what the consensus is.
On which topic? Which one of those?
Let's do
Computer
software.
now.
Starting to save.
We're on the software?
So computer software, so we can be more transparent. Bring something to the table.
Yeah, my 2 cents is do the right thing and ask the employees, check with
Can we put it in the budget, and we can always remove it if we don't end up doing a consent, getting a consensus?
I'd say no. I think we need to put what we need in the budget.
I think you can take that to the employees, you find some software, maybe get 3 bids or whatever, however you do that. I think it's just, you can just find it and purchase it. But get 3 maybe that will come and demonstrate for the staff, and then at least we know where we stand and we have a way to start making that transition. I had asked Michael I was asking Michael where we stood right now as of today, and he couldn't give it to me because he told me he had to get with Debbie, I think, or something. Yeah, I emailed you, said you'd get it for me, and I hadn't gotten it. But, yeah, it's here and there, that's just, it's something somebody should be able to get in there and look. Where if we had something that was open to the public as well, like I went to Miramar's and looked at theirs, it's right there. It tells you where you're at, whether you're in the yellow or you're in the red, it just formats it out. It looks much like these spreadsheets when you pull it up. I know y'all don't understand the need because you're not working in it, but I think
Worked in it longer than anyone here, and I can tell you that
you know,
I'm comfortable.
yeah, sure.
I think we need to put the money somewhere else.
But my decision on that depends on the decision on number 2.
Yeah, I think.
How do they coincide?
Oh, very much so, because number 2 is more important to me than number 1. If I'm not gonna get number 2, then why should I go for number 1? Now, if we wanna fund both, you might be able to convince me to fund both.
I'd
But
like
it's
to
not
fund
either
both.
or.
Oh, I'd like to definitely fund both.
But we gotta figure out how we're gonna do
Moving
that
from the
too.
status quo.
Just tell us what is number 1 and number 2.
Oh, number 1 is the software, number 2 is the finance director in-house.
Thank you.
I think that's the only 2 we really have to discuss whether to fund or not.
Yeah, I assume we're sticking with the part-time firm. That'd be number 3.
Going back to the software, I would like us to be open-minded to new software. I don't know, the Springbrook loyalty, I don't know if that's because of our connection with Debbie or not, but Debbie is out of the picture. And I just think we should be more open to new ideas, and that we should possibly go ahead and think about reserving some money in that direction. That's my thought.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I'm open to doing our work first, doing due diligence and talking to our employees, talking to Springbrook, and then making a decision if we want to put money in there, put it 6 months later. And like you said, if we talk to our employees, we talk to Springbrook and they have an answer, then we move forward, we reduce the 25,000. If we don't have an answer, we need to move forward, the 25 is there after 6 months.
So I can
Say the 25 goes in now, and then if we don't need it, because finding it later or moving it later is not the best.
So how's that gonna work? Are we gonna set a reserve account up for 25 this year, 25 next year?
So
Or
yeah,
how are we
it
doing
sounds
this?
pretty split, but maybe what I can do in between now and the next meeting is I can survey the employees, I can get you more feedback, exactly what they're thinking, and we can cross this bridge next
I
time.
would let them see some different software.
Sure.
I agree.
I can tell you I've worked with a lot worse, but
I've
I haven't worked with
worse
one.
too,
Yeah.
but I've worked with a lot better too.
If we could take that type of approach, I think would be good, and then I think the accountant, that's a no-brainer for me.
So with those two, I think if, with the cuts that we've made, is there anywhere else we need to make a cut, Michael, in order to get both of those on? Or would we,
I don't have a running log. I know we cut the general fund truck.
50,000,
Yeah,
so that'll fund one.
yeah.
And then the electrician would reallocate a little bit.
And then I guess that goes down to the real root question, which is what do you want me to set the millage rate at? Between 5.9999, 5.75, 5.8, 5.
575.
Give me a firm goalpost for me to hit next time.
What you just had was 5.8.
5.8.
I think 5.75. That's me.
I said 5 3/4 to, knowing where we're at.
Can you redefine the difference in money, the coming and going of money as you drop each time? Can you make that clarification before we make that decision? Like when you're going from 5.99 to 5.8 to 5.75, what's
Sure.
the difference in incoming money?
So
7.5 is about 32,000.
There you have
yeah,
it.
and I do have that sheet actually.
Yeah, you have that.
The 62.
Well, can you cut the mills as well as fund the stuff that we are asking for here?
I'll have to cut other operating expenses, but yeah, we can.
Is there places, I mean, if there's places we can cut operating expenses, we should anyway, regardless if we can, you know, I mean, what page are they?
So
What page?
it was page 10. 5.9 is 3.6 million, 5.8 is 3.55 million, 5.75 is 352. So the difference between really moving from
30,000.
yeah for 0.8 to
Did you say
7.5.
we saved $20,000? I don't know which fund it was in.
Did you get the half the Tommy's employees? Was that on there? I thought we were going, the two slingers that we didn't need till
We'll definitely look into moving that to either half or like a 3/4.
half, and that would, I don't know what that would say, it has to be something,
Yeah.
until we need them.
Yeah.
Didn't we say $15,000 in the general fund from development services? So we was talking about that. And there was somewhere else we saved 20.
I think you can do it. 5.75 and
5.75.
I think
I do too.
We will.
I'm just agreeing with the lowest number I've heard up here. So
Well, I'd like to go lower, but I know it's making strain around here for services, but
all the better.
We can work to add those items and reduce the millage.
But I think we have a big issue to discuss before we're done today, and that's sanitation.
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
we're talking a
What
$6
level
a
rate?
month rate increase.
It boils down to how much do you want to set aside for that new truck, which is at the 20 is $20,000.
that's not enough. How much that truck cost, Tommy, that last?
About 38.
The
How much
last garbage truck?
Oh, about 215.
He wish it was 30. Yeah.
Buy two of them.
Yeah, that won't, that, we.
You said trucks, we've been talking about a bunch of different trucks. The garbage truck was about 215.
I got a question, Tommy. You had talked to me once before saying that we had a lift basically that would take trash cans and put them into the truck. Would that save us anywhere along the line as far as time for their employees? I mean.
It make it easier on the employees, no doubt. We have one truck now that has two, what they call a kicker. They can roll it, but now that's for a 96-gallon garbage can. But if you take 3 32s and add them up, that's 96 gallons. So basically, one 96-gallon garbage can, we do have means to be able to dump it without having to manually pick it up.
And those are usually on rollers too, so that.
They use it when, you know, there is some of the employees that have bigger cans that it's on the route that, but now with that said, that's not all over because the other route, they don't have the means of doing that, so they can't pick a 96-gallon garbage can up. So, I think right now, the biggest problem we're having is the one we addressed just earlier, is the amount of garbage. We're wearing the guys out. The guys are getting wore out, it's causing overtime, picking up the amount of garbage that we're picking up. And it's not really residential. It's like you said, it's the rentals, with 15, 20 people in one place that we need to really address.
So, yeah, that might be something we want to look at ordinance and change some things.
Raise that tax rate.
And we could talk about a fee.
Yeah.
I know that, I've noticed some other cities have put in a fee. And we most definitely could.
Because you're looking at a rate change from 30.33 to 36.40 at 20%.
Yeah, I think maybe if we cut those positions to a half year and then we cut the rate increase to maybe 15%, would help get you there.
Put your rate at 34.88.
We do need to put some money aside with the garbage truck. That 20,000 was, and we was in the bind last time. We didn't found that money so we could buy that garbage truck, and I don't know what fund we got it from, but when we have a garbage truck down, that's a biggie in this town. And since we're gonna use all three of them, we sure need to, and we do have one that's old.
Is there ever any grant money to help pay for a garbage truck?
Are you aware of any?
What now?
Are you aware of
Grant
any?
money for a garbage truck that would help pay for that? Is there ever any grant money to help pay for a garbage truck?
Yeah, I do not know.
Yeah, we'll research that.
That's something we have to look into.
Where's our Tim, grant man?
Yeah, it's all revenue. There's no new benefits there. It's all user fees.
Yep.
So yeah, really the only direction I need on that one is what % increase do you find acceptable? Is it 10? Is it 15? 50? 50. Whatever, just set the goalpost and we'll make it happen.
Deja vu up here. I feel like garbage is always there.
It is.
You can't question the service, so.
You can't touch the
that's-
service.
You can't touch
Do
the
not
service.
touch the
so
service.
I'd take the higher rate.
How much is it? Yeah, you scared me. How much increase? My phone's burning up enough as it is.
How much would the bill go up a month?
Yeah.
At 20% or 15?
At 15.
$4.55.
Well,
That's just sanitation. We have a water and sewer pass through going to
5, 4, what was it, 5 something?
5 and 8.
5 and 8.
So last time we talked about 10% for that, right?
Mm-hmm. But that didn't give us anything for a new trash truck.
That would give us enough to any other way we could set aside some money out of something?
Well, we'll definitely cut those slingers to half a year, so that'll help dramatically.
I'm talking about for a new garbage truck now,
That's
what I want.
$40,000, that's not much.
That's not much,
Yeah, slinger.
$200,000 garbage truck.
Yeah. 30,000, if you keep the rate at 20.
Well, you could probably do
Yeah,
10% then, because you move that 30 from salaries to the
It's
garbage
30,
truck.
but we want to get to 45, right?
Yeah.
That's bad.
15 for, what, $6?
15 would be $4.55. Increase.
And the 10 was,
$6.07.
I mean, we realize we up here trying to, not let our citizens pay as much taxes, and then here we go raising.
Where do we want to shift? Do we want to shift more salary to general fund to
I
up the tax
raise-
rate, or do we want to
raise
shift
the
it to sanitation and raise the user rate?
And we already increased, it used to be an 80-20 split, being 80% sanitation, 20% general fund. It's now 70-30, so we've already increased the impact of the general fund 10%. So, it sounds like maybe 15 is the goal.
You can make it work.
Another saying is, It's not nothing against Ms. Miller, but I'd rather have that than the computer, whatever we got to do, I want it to do the garbage truck.
Apples to oranges.
Apples or oranges or something, but I,
No,
we have got to, that's something we got to work on, because you just don't know, the last time we needed that garbage truck, and we didn't have it one, and they would run around and pick up trucks, picking up garbage and throw it in the truck to get it out of people's yards, so it wasn't pretty, so we really need to think about that garbage truck. Not start now, thinking about the garbage truck. And raising the rates is something I'm not really, where we get the money from, but
you got to raise the rates to get the truck.
But again, I think shifting those two slingers to half a year will give you the money to put in for the garbage truck and keep the old rate. Or the old 10, 15%, not 20.
Yeah, it just depends on
Yeah.
how much you want to set aside for the truck. You want to set aside just 30 or more?
I say this year.
45.
With Bay County going up, you
As
know,
much as it can.
I think we just probably need to stay as low as we can. Just-
you say 10, everybody's with 10 in?
15, I thought.
15.
15%.
And that would make people's bill go up $6, is that what you said?
$4.55 on the sanitation portion alone.
Okay, and then we're going up on the water by, was it 4?
3 and 8, I believe, or 5 and 8.
I think
3 and 8, 5 and 8.
8 and 5.
What is it?
3 and 11.
3 and 11.
Yeah, it was,
I think it was 3 and 8, which was a total of 11.
3 and 8.
I think I have a letter.
Is that $3 or $3.08%?
percent. Because I think it came up to 11% total.
I think it's 3 and 8. That's what I'm gonna figure out.
It is.
I think it's 3 and 8, I think it's total of 11.
It was 3 and 8.
3 and 8 is what I thought. So 3 and 8 and 15, that's,
What's that come to?
I'm getting there. Hold tight.
Right, you already have the one over there.
Put your bill at 131.37. And you're currently at 121.60, so it's $10.70, no, 21.60. $9.77.
Mm-hmm.
117.24 a year.
$14.25.
what are some of the, do we know what some of the other cities charge for these services?
I have
I was
a
just
rate.
curious.
We're doing a rate study.
Yeah.
That'll be finalized within the overall budget package. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to see that. It seems that, you know, even 121's kind of on the high side. You know, we got bigger houses and,
And that's at 15%, but
But we are providing like 3 services for that amount of money, and I think other cities, it's just like one service, nearly almost as much as.
yeah, because I think a
Yeah,
lot of cities
like in
have their
Gulf County.
trash picked up by services.
once
still
a week
quite a
at the
bargain.
curb.
Yeah,
But what we have is quite a bargain, even
Yeah.
if it is 131,
Yeah,
when you
plus
compare
we're
it.
raising it this time, not last time, so.
And we're twice a week, and we are not curbside.
Throw the dice.
okay. So where do we stand with these 3 items again? We're getting our part-time to full-time. We're gonna try to work in the start of budgeting for new software.
What's my list?
Mid-year. Right? Mid-year?
We were talking about doing it now, and then mid-year, if it doesn't pan out, we've not lost anything. We can reallocate that.
Yeah, so to recap, I've heard consensus on 5.75, the 15% rate increase for sanitation, for the full-time accountants. It sounds like everyone supports leaving the part-time firm in there. And then the software seems still split, and I will do a survey of the staff to get their feedback, and you guys can make that decision at the next meeting.
Okay.
And not just a survey, I prefer that they actually be able to see some newer software. Because, you know, when you look at, when you see it, it's amazing.
So you can make that happen. You don't see our software as well. Okay.
And I think Ms. Lucas said something about some new software. A company, when she was here last time, she said that one she had worked in was a lot more user-friendly than what we had. That might be something we could try to see who that was. All right.
I have one thing, you know, there's 3 different drafts, and I spent hours and hours looking at all these papers, but somewhere on some page, there's the legal that's 75,000. I think we paid Clint 65,
yes.
so what's the other 10?
Sure. The other 10 is for any potential one-off legal items you may have. So if you
Okay,
need
don't
like
we have
a,
insurance? Doesn't the city have insurance that covers?
that's not what I mean. I mean in terms of like, if you get something really weird, like a 15-foot plat setback item, if, for example, which we did just get, you may want to allocate funds for a specialized land use attorney to look into something like that. So there is $10,000 set aside for something of that sort,
That's not his.
which you can cut. But
So that's a potential we might have.
Yeah.
Have that reduced, okay.
yep. Real quick before we end. So as what was established at last meeting, the interim millage rate, we're planning to set it to 5.9999. Now I understand we're going for the 5.75, but that's what would be mailed out as the interim rate. Now we know we're going to go below, but that's just the rate you're setting as your absolute maximum, your absolute ceiling for the sake of the trim process. So I just wanted to clarify that that's going out. And then the tentative budget hearing dates are on September 7th and 21st, which I believe is on your calendar. And then we need to confirm that it won't conflict with the school board or the county, but last I've heard from them, in this letter, neither of those dates will conflict. So we should be fine on that. But that's something that we need to submit for the trim process here in the next week or so.
What was the date? You didn't have a date. You just-
The tentative ones are the 7th and the 21st of September.
5:01 p.m.
I was just going to propose it at 6. But
6 p.m.
yeah. It does have to be after 5 p.m. though.
Yeah, September 1.
So just want to make sure everyone.
Have been in our calendars already. and
Yeah.
everything.
Will
I had to look that far ahead.
And what day of the week is that?
I don't
It
know.
was on a Saturday, it was a Wednesday, and I got looking at it. It's the 7th is on a
Do
Thursday.
we
If there's-
I don't know.
How we can.
I'm good.
Well, it's the 21st.
Okay.
21st or 30th.
Thursday.
And I got an email from one, so you might have seen that.
It's got to be over 5:01. That's got to be.
So, all right, so we're gonna open up to the public. We've talked about a lot of stuff here today, guys, so y'all are welcome to provide some input as we move forward for Michael. Yes, sir.
What about your accounting? Software thing? To me, if you bring in somebody in-house, if they can learn the Springbok, that's saving us some money right there instead of doing 2 of them right now. The garbage truck thing, you really need to look at a way to do some rate increases. We've got a lot more rental houses that used to be just vacation homes, and now they're vacation home rentals. And I can tell you right now, they put in as many beds as they can, 10, 12, whatever. And like I said, with the garbage, it's insane. And you're, what, 33-gallon drums? Well, you drive around, hardly any of these rentals have 33-gallon drums. They have these gigantic things, which the garbage man can't even pick up. They got to take the garbage out of them half the time. Like you say, a rate or something. There has to be something to start charging some of these people who are adding to your sanitation burden and everything else. And you know, the other thing, and I've said over and over to look at, you're looking at user fees for the garbage. your boat ramp fees, and I'll hit them again, I think are ridiculous. $100 for somebody who doesn't live here for a year past, that's insane. It should be about $300. I mean, somebody comes from Bloustown for $100 a year to use the ramp here, they need to pay some money for it. We're paying the money. The only people using the boat ramp are people with boats. The people that live here don't have boats, they ain't using it. There's a big chunk of money that goes into that canal for dredging and everything else. And you need to look at that user fee for that damn boat ramp. But I mean, is there anything for rentals that you could tax somehow for the user fee for garbage or something different? I think the state limits something that had to be grandfathered in to tax a rate hike on rentals, short-term rentals. But maybe there's another way to come up with something. Because this is what's happening, like you said, all these places are coming in, and I know on my street alone, 3 vacation homes have turned into short-term rentals.
Yeah, we're doing some research and due diligence on essentially sales tax on those, but I don't know if we'll be allowed to because of the grandfathering rules and all that, but we are looking into it.
And I think fees are not, I think we can't do a tax, but we could do a fee of some sort.
And then somewhat related, that jogged my memory, we did add $5,000 of revenue for golf cart user fees.
Right.
So, 5,000.
So, point of clarification, you're saying that unlike Panama City Beach, who has their own independent, they don't call it a bed tax, they call it a tourist development tax. But right now, I see no way outside of some sort of fee structure tax to tax these people that burden us, the residents of this town. We're not making any money off tourists. The tourists cost us money here. Okay, with all this discussion that's just gone on, the bulk of it is how we're gonna pick up the trash. The local residents, we're not placing a burden on Tommy's guys. So is there a way that we can have a tourist development fee tax, whatever you wanna call it? So every hotel room, we put a 1% on everything in this town that would help pay for a garbage truck. It would help offset our impact fees. I don't know.
That's exactly what we're researching right now.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like garbage specifically, historically, I believe when there was excess like bags laying out, there was a nominal charge. Was it like $10 per?
It's $10 per 32-gallon can extra. That's what the
So
last
essentially a
time.
penalty for the people who are going over, so it doesn't impact the rest of everyone else. So that's what we're gonna look at bringing back for council consideration in August. My only concern on that is it's gonna put an additional task on the sanitation folks to document who did it, take a picture, write down the amount. So it adds work as well, but
And I was gonna ask, on a 32-gallon can, how many bags of trash actually fit in to the?
Probably maybe 2. One, if it's a kitchen size bag, probably 2 is what they'll get in a 32-gallon
So
can.
if you've got 10 of them laying out there, then every 2 you would want to charge.
Yes, ma'am. After the meeting, I'll show you some pictures of what the guys have took the last couple of weeks, and some of them I can understand the point. They'll spend 15 minutes at one place just picking up garbage.
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
it's a lot, yeah.
All right, any other public comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've anxiously watched these meetings in hopes of learning what this table has proclaimed for almost 2 months, that the city's in a financial crisis. And I haven't heard a plan. It was stated that these meetings were critical to deciding how to correct the crisis that the city was in financially. So I'm here, I want to be candid about my question. I'm here because there's a team of people that worked diligently, blood, sweat, and tears to watch every penny, nickel, and dime this city had. And for someone to sit up there and say we're in a financial crisis, is there something that this table could provide that justifies that statement? Well, I mean, I don't have an appointment at 2 o'clock. I can be here a while. I'm serious. This is, if you make those statements, what is it you have that substantiates that?
At the time we were talking about it, we were losing Debbie, I think, or there was some upheaving in our accounting department. So we need to make some changes.
No, that's not so. It was stated, it was on the news, it was on the radio, it was on social media, it was all over our city, that our city was in a financial crisis. It had nothing to do with Debbie. That just further, I mean, it's those people that work so hard to make an established, give this city, not only keep it solvent, but to keep it afloat during some very, very hard times, and somebody make that statement. I just think there ought to be some accountability for that. I'd like to know what that is.
I think we need to look at moving forward with our financial budget and seeing how we are looking.
So there is no crisis. Is that the answer?
I am actually not sure what you're describing.
I'm just using your words and your phrase to describe a financial crisis. That's what you stated multiple times that the city was in.
I may have stated one time when I first came on the office and was trying to get access to our financials so that I could actually review those. And I still don't have.
So is there a crisis?
I think we're in a transition. How's that?
So it's just a fabricated, I mean, it's not really a financial crisis. I mean,
Just like fabricating, I'm not the mayor, so maybe.
So you can retract those statements that there's not a financial.
I cannot because I do not know at this point until we get an audit.
Why was the stir created?
The problem is our audits are behind. We actually are currently 2 months behind on even reconciling our bank statements. So it's hard to tell where we're at right now.
Steve, will agree with that? Is it hard to tell? I mean, is there some, if there's not a crisis, there's not a crisis. That's all I mean, what's going on in this city about the financial crisis that has been manufactured evidently, I think needs to be, somebody needs to stand up and say, hey, we're not in a crisis.
I hope we're not.
What?
I hope, I'm at the table, and I hope we're not at this crisis that and I know what you said, that, I hate to see anybody say something, but that was said at this table, but I don't believe that. Because I was here. I don't think we are. I don't think we're going into financial crisis.
Okay.
Sorry, that's for me.
That's for me.
I think we're solving, we got money in the bank, and we got money that's making interest. I mean, I think we're in good shape.
And we have more money than we've ever had in the bank.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything that could prove differently than that, so I really think we're in good shape as a city. My opinion.
I think one thing we haven't addressed too, a lot of citizens felt like we should do a forensic audit. I don't think we put anything in the budget about that, and it's still a concern. And do we need to go in that direction?
I think just getting our regular.
I think at a previous meeting, Adrian, I believe you thought we needed a forensic audit.
I don't think we need one at all, but I'll support
but
it
you
if it
did
makes
at
us
one
done.
time, yeah.
No, I don't think we need it, but I'll
Do you have a
support it.
note of that? Maybe Lisa would have that note.
Okay, so
Let me answer that question for you. I really think that I would support a forensic audit too, based on what was being put out about people at this table. I would support it. I would not support it on needing a regular audit, just, hey, let's do a forensic audit because we want to.
Okay, we know
But
there's-
based on what was being said to people, and you gotta understand that, Ms. Hamilton, I mean,
My
they were
concern,
accusing
and I
people
think I
of
still
stuff they
had the
didn't do.
floor, my concern is
You don't-
there
you
has
don't
been
have
about
that.
$100 million that
point
has
of
come
order,
to the city.
please. Point of order. Okay, so let's back up and finish your statement, and then Mr. Wolf will come to you. Go ahead.
We're not attacking anybody personally here. The concern was the amount of money that has come through the town, the FEMA money. You know, that is a concern to everybody. That's a lot of money. So if we did a forensic audit, that would clear it one way or the other. And those who are concerned, it could be a done thing.
Have you requested or,
We have talked, go ahead.
Have you requested a report to see where all that money went?
How can we trust the report for sure? We're even behind in the audit.
Well, looking at the report first and then seeing where the money went, I mean, then you have questions to ask, but this is a, we spend the money and then FEMA pays us back. It's not we're getting money in.
There's a lot of concern from a lot of people about our money. I think a forensic audit would be justified, and I'd like to see that in the budget.
Okay, so I want to clear something up. Based on my meetings with Atkins,
That's where I was going.
when we get money from Atkins goes through the process of helping us get funding from FEMA. Those funds, when they come to the city, when he releases those funds to the city and we start spending those funds, if there's something left over on a project, Atkins does not know where that money goes. It's left over. Okay? They don't monitor that, should I say. But at the end of the day,
Well, Atkins
at the
monitors
end,
that money.
no, not after it comes to the city. At the end of the day, when he sits down to reconcile with FEMA a project, that's when we have to know where that money is. To my
He's coming tonight,
understanding, yeah, he's coming tonight.
Let's talk about it
yeah,
tonight.
I think that's a good.
I don't think that's accurate either. We'll ask him tonight. It's not.
Well, that's what he told me, or that's what I was told. Because the money after it comes out of, from Atkins has been distributed to the city for a project. The project, we have to keep up with how much we're spending on that project. And then at the end of the day, if there's money left over, then we can spend that money on similar things to that project. But they don't calculate that to the end.
There should be no leftover because this is a reimbursement program.
It's a reimbursement.
There's nothing left over.
Coincidentally, I did ask Ryan to do a presentation tonight on the process, so it'd be a great discussion for tonight.
I hope he's bringing the spreadsheet that I've been hoping for
I think that's
weeks.
what
Okay.
Perfect. So, but yeah, I mean, if this council wants an audit, then we need to consider that and put it in the budget.
Yeah, if there's consensus, I will put it in the budget.
Isn't a forensic audit like very, very costly?
Very.
Like way costly?
Well, a
You
recent
might
city.
buy a garbage truck for that.
A recent city did one, and it was, I think, $80,000, but I don't know. And it really depends too on what you want them to look at.
Yes, it's
So how, it's very specific on what do you want them to look at? What items do you want them to dig down in, deep into?
Forensic
So-
audit gets a specific scope. It's not just
Yeah.
come look at our books. They need a specific claim to investigate.
Exactly.
The more you add, the more it costs.
Yeah, the more you have in there, the more it costs. Yeah, absolutely.
And we also have a single audit done every year of federal funds and state funds if we exceed $750,000. And that's in our audit report annually. And I think there's been a single audit every year since 2019. I think. I don't know that for fact, but I'm pretty sure we've spent $750 in federal and state dollars every year since. So it should be a portion of your audit book.
Well, off the topic of audits, I shared this with Mr. Wolf and I'll share it with the whole table. Personally, I think it's noble that you want to, quote, reduce the millage and the burden on the taxpayers. And I just think, as a general rule, if you got a $500,000 house, to cut $375 out of your property tax bill is, excuse me, but it's just walking around money, you know? The city's got big long-term issues, okay? And, you know, I respect all of you sitting at that table, every one of you. And for you to sit here with blinders on and say, well, we're gonna do good by the citizens by cutting a minuscule amount of money out of their taxes, rather than applying that money to long-term projects that we just keep ignoring, you know? So I'm on board with not reducing the millage. I'm on board with let's find a way to bankroll more money so we can pay for stormwater and our sewer, sanitary sewer, and all these other things that our employees need to be able to do, you know?
And at some point, we're not gonna have FEMA dollars. At some point, we're not gonna have this grant money that's helping us right now.
Exactly.
So
I mean, look.
You can paint it, the picture any way you want, but at the end of the day, I'm with you. I even said it last time, 6.5, whatever, I mean, 5.999, whatever. We need to fund what we need to fund in our city to make our city where it needs to be.
And a garbage truck's
And a
important
garbage
too.
truck's important.
I think us setting at 5.999 allows us time to socialize that, because we can always go down, we can't go up. So if we set it higher with a goal of 5.75, maybe in the next couple meetings, we socialize and find out, hey, we do need to start saving some
And you
money.
know, you gotta realize, is, you guys sitting up here, you already approved 652 apartments, townhomes, and houses, and you got 216 apartments coming online. All these other projects, when they start, that one garbage truck is gonna turn into 2 or 3. And where's that money gonna come from? And I'm the same thing. To cut this millage rate, you need to put more money aside, because this is gonna start real soon. All of a sudden, these people are gonna start building, and you're gonna have 216 apartments that are gonna be full of people year-round. And just taking care of that in garbage is gonna be a whole bunch. And when this rest of this construction starts, it's gonna happen soon. You can't all of a sudden jump through a hoop when it happens.
I agree. And when you have to come back to the table in a year or two down the road where you're saying, oh, well, we're gonna have to go up to 10, or we're gonna have to go up to, 8, or we were at 8 just a few years ago, so it's all relevant.
And, we've all heard terms about trying to compare us with this town or that town. Look, we don't compare to Callaway, and we don't really compare to Apalachicola or Caravelle, but we're somewhere in between. We're a little bit unique. And those of us that call it home 365 days a year, we got to find a way, whether it's boat ramp or fees or whatever we do to these people that are, quote, abusing the beautiful place we have, because they come in here and there's 3 Suburbans and they're pulling a boat and there's 14 of them living in the beach house for 2 weeks. And meanwhile, he needs a dump truck to haul the trash away from that one house. But they're not paying us. Does anyone at the table know, what does Bay County return to this city as a general rule from their bed tax?
It's
Bed
very
tax.
in the middle.
Bed tax about $700,000 to the CDC, because that's who gets that money, the city does not.
So we gotta figure a way to monetize the tourist industry here as a city.
Yeah, something has to happen, because we have no business to get your money. And that's what you said, our tax money is coming from the citizens. It's not coming from businesses. And there's nowhere to build businesses around here. You might get a couple more restaurants in, and that's gonna be it. The money's coming out of our pockets who live here. And these people that don't, there's gotta be some kind of way. It can't be a tax, a user fee or something that makes it legal for somebody to pay. It's gotta happen. I mean, that's why we're different. That's why the millage rate is higher. Everybody who lives here knows that.
And we're very few that actually physically live here.
Look at Bay County, look at Panama City. They have businesses everywhere, but yet Bay County's got to raise their millage 1.5% just to keep up with the growth. And they have businesses giving them tons of money. We have nothing.
Yeah, we're 1,000, we're a community of 1,000, and we go up to 8,000, 12,000 over 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. We need to.
The only way to get more sales tax money is to grow your permanent population.
I don't want to be controversial at all, but just to be clear, I don't have consensus on the forensic audit, or I do. Just want to make sure.
I think we're okay.
All right. Now's the time for me to put it in, it's right now, so.
What do you think,
I don't think we need one.
sir?
No.
Oh, I said I'd support one if somebody wanted it, but I don't think it's necessary.
I would like it.
If we have a scope and a cost, put it in.
I can try to do some research for you now in the next meeting.
I was just gonna suggest that, if we can just see what we think we want to look at, and probably what we would want to.
Back to the trucks a second.
Yes, sir.
Are we getting a boom truck or are we not?
Yep. Okay, anything else from the?
When is our next meeting for the budget? The 7th one? I don't think we have one scheduled.
I'll have to check, I don't have the calendar on.
Let us know tonight.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah,
Take-
one
yes, sir.
more thing, the trash truck that we're talking about, what kind are you talking about? One that, like we have now?
Yeah, like the new one, probably something like the new one. We went larger with the last trash truck we bought, and we need to go larger again, because the city's not getting smaller. The more we can put in that truck, the cheaper it is to go once to the landfill, so bigger is better.
So, but it compacts what we've got now, you still need 2 men to dump it in.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. 3 men per truck. If you figure
Right.
somebody driving, 2 people on the back picking the trash up.
So, go back to the consensus on the audit. He said he'll support it, she'll support it, I'll support it. Go
The
and-
forensic audit?
Yeah, let's go.
You're saying we are supporting it?
I will, yeah.
Yeah, let's go and
Okay.
just look at cost.
I just need to know what it's gonna cost and what our scope is.
Yeah, let's see what our cost of scope would be.
If our scope is FEMA money, well, then we better get rid of Atkins and ACDC too, because they're the ones that reconcile it.
Everything you hear is the FEMA money, the $100 million, what happened to it?
111.
What happened to it? So I mean, that's all you hear. So if you're gonna do a forensic audit, you might as well just do it on that. And nothing else. I mean, that'll settle this once and for all. That's all I've heard. $100 million, what happened?
I don't think that's,
The
has
FEMA
been the
money is
consensus from
really
this,
disbursements.
this table.
It's accounted for. It's been audited by state, federal, local.
2 consulting firms.
There's nothing to question about the FEMA money.
I agree, but if it stops it, let's move on.
I agree.
If it stops it, so we're trying to satisfy.
That's exactly it.
Waste the citizens' money.
Big time waste of money.
That's gonna be a lot of money.
It's just a quote. So, if that makes, that is a consensus, that's fine with me.
We done here?
Motion to adjourn.
Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 9, 10. See you all in 7 hours.
Have fun.
It's taking a minute.
No.
Are you ready to wait for me?
Somebody else will be there.